everyone, it's Alexander Robinson. Welcome to the channel, and this is my review for Novocaine, which stars Jack Quaid and Amber Midthunder. Jack Quaid plays Nate Kane, an assistant manager at a bank in San Diego, but he has a condition called congenital insensitivity. Basically, he can't feel pain, and I gotta be honest, I didn't even know that was a thing. I thought it was something just for this movie. Anyway, moving on. He is romantically involved with one of the workers at the bank, played by Amber Midthunder. But one day, a group of bank robbers dressed as Santa Claus come in, rob the place, and take her as a hostage. So Nate, knowing that he can't feel pain, decides to take matters into his own hands and goes off to save Sherry from the robbers. When I saw the trailer for this movie, it looked really cool. It was something that I seriously wanted to see. And I almost put it on my list for my 10 most anticipated movies of 2025, but the reason I opted not to was because I had the same experience with Argyle last year, where I saw that trailer in front of everything. I was excited to see it, but after a while I got tired of seeing that same trailer in front of every movie, and when I saw it, it was a piece of shit. So I was so worried the same thing was going to happen with Novocaine, a really cool concept that would just completely fall flat. Well, I'm happy to say that not only did Novocaine meet my expectations with that trailer, but it actually ended up being far better than I could have ever imagined. When you watch those trailers, you're sold on the idea that this is an action comedy. And it very much is. Nate gets into some ridiculous scenarios that are played for laughs, but there are also a lot of sequences in this movie where it can be pretty thrilling. Now, I already did a written review for this movie on my Tumblr page with no spoilers, and I'm going to be reviewing this movie as if you've already seen it. I mean, it's been out for a full weekend. If you haven't seen it, go see the movie before this review. Anyway, if you've seen the trailer, you know there's that sequence when the bank robber has an arrow in Nate's leg, and he's moving it all around. Nate can't feel pain, so he has to pretend he does. Oh, ow, 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 God! That one hurt the most. That's funny, and it's funny just as it is in the movie. But then that's immediately followed with the bank robber taking a pair of pliers and picking off Nate's fingernails. And at that point, I ain't laughing anymore. I'm looking at this, and I had to look away several times because removing full-on finger or toenails, that's my kryptonite. I just go, oh God, no. No! Miraculously, that doesn't overshadow the comedic elements of the movie. It also plays pretty well as a romantic comedy, at least in the first act of the film. If there was any disappointment I had, and I'll say this right off the bat, I wish they kind of leaned into Jack Quaid and Amber Midthunder's chemistry a little more, because they have an adorable meet-cute at the beginning of the movie. And the first act is essentially these two characters hanging out, falling in love, and their chemistry is just electric. It is so good. These two actors are very charming together, and I kind of wish these two characters got to interact with each other more often. That's not to say that the limited time these two actors share in the movie ruins anything, because it doesn't. One of my biggest fears with watching the trailer is that Amber Midthunder would just be the damsel in distress. My friend Eric from the Nerd Chronic pointed this out, that there's no reason for her to be fridged, essentially, because Amber Midthunder is a rising star. They gotta utilize her in a certain way. I didn't expect at all that she would be in cahoots with the bank robbers and that one of them was her brother. That was a twist that caught me by surprise. And it actually works within the movie because it creates a lot of high stakes tension once Nate actually reaches her. At this point, I was already in love with the movie, but more in a, hey, this is a fun action comedy movie with a guy that can't feel pain getting a knife thrown into his hand, or an arrow in his leg, or a big spiky ball lodged into his back and he can't feel anything. This is fun. But once we get to that third act, that's when I really became invested in the story. Like, everything that is supposed to matter in a movie, the story and seeing the characters try and get out alive, I was on board completely. I was invested in the third act to the point where I didn't know what exactly was going to happen. Like, someone could easily die among the main heroes. And without telling you how the movie ends, it ends in a way that is so satisfying, but also it makes sense for it to happen. Now, in regards to those action scenes, they're very well shot, they are creative, they are flat out violent. Like I mentioned the scene where the bank robber is peeling off fingernails off of Jack Quaid's hand, but there are some creative ways that people die in this movie, and there's just so much bone crunching and blood and gore that watching this movie made me realize this is the ultimate successor to Crank. A lot of people have been comparing this movie to Die Hard, between the everyday guy in this absurd situation to the fact that it could qualify as a Christmas movie. Could. Let's wait a couple of years before we actually announce it. But I think this is more in line with the Crank movies because you have a guy with an unusual condition who is getting in these really violent and absurd scenarios. And it's just so insane and over the top that it has a stronger comparison to Crank than Die Hard. And the best way I can describe it is if you take Crank, take out all the overly racist and sexist overtones and just replace it with sincerity and charm. That's Novocaine in a nutshell. And the charm of the movie really does come from your two leads. I can't believe it took me this long in the review to talk about Jack Quaid and Amber Midthunder, but both of them are really good. Both of them have a lot of charm, whether they're together or separated. With Jack Quaid in particular, it is nice to see him not play a complete scumbag like he did in Scream or Companion. I haven't seen The Boys, so I don't know what his character's like, but I like how Nate is very much a regular guy. He is an introvert, he's awkward, and he's pretty relatable as a character, which makes you root for him all the more. And Amber Midthunder is really good as well. I loved her in Prey. I can't wait to see her in Monarch Season 2. And I can't wait to see what else she does in the future because she is just as charming as Jack Quaid. If I had any issues with the movie, I'd say that Jacob Batalon is pretty annoying, not overly irritating. I mean, he doesn't actually appear in this movie until the end of the second act, but when he finally shows up on screen, he's pretty much the best friend of the hero who talks nonstop, and it got really tiring. Now, I get the point of his character in that Nate doesn't have any actual friends, and this guy has been his online friend for so long, but I think the character left a lot to be desired once he actually shows up. And also, there is the cliche of the two detectives who think the main character is responsible for what's happening. That was pretty old, but overall, this movie was an absolute blast. It was probably the most fun I've had in a theater in months. I can't really think about the last time I had this much fun watching a movie. This is a movie that's designed to be seen with a big crowd, and why I say worth seeing in your lifetime. It's actually from the same directors that did Villains, a very underrated movie from the last decade that I love. And this is another win for them in my eyes. It's fun, it's creative, it handles the comedy just as well as the thrilling moments. Both leads are very charming. And I honestly hope there's not a sequel, because the beauty of this movie is that it pretty much ends where it needs to end. Would I see a sequel? Yes. Do I think it needs a sequel? No, I think Novocaine works perfectly fine as a standalone movie. And there you go, that's my review for Novocaine. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I want to give a special thank you to my subscribers and YouTube members right over here. You guys are the reason why this channel continues to grow every day, and if you want to help to financially support the channel and get access to perks that no one else gets, you can join YouTube memberships for as little as $1.99 a month. But until next time, I want to know what you guys think about Novocaine. Whatever your opinions are, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell button to get notifications. If you want to find me elsewhere on the internet, you can find me on these social media platforms and my theme park and travel channel right here on YouTube. I'll see you guys in the next video, but until then, have a good day and take care of yourselves.